Hello, welcome to Ledges Live. We're here in Akron, Ohio at Earthquaker Studios. I'm Julie Robbins. This is Jamie Stillman.
Hi.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be giving away 3 ledges to 3 lucky winners announced at the end of this live stream, so please stick around. How are you doing today, Jamie?
I'm doing good. How are you, Julie?
I'm well, thank
Great.
you. Are you excited to answer some questions?
I'm so excited. I love answering questions.
I know you do. I know you do. Well, why don't we start off by you just introducing the ledges. Tell us about it.
Introducing the ledges. I'm going to give the briefest description, the most basic description of the ledges, because I'm sure we'll get into it. It is a 3-mode reverb featuring room, hall, and plate reverbs with 3 controls for all the parameters you need: mix, length, and damping. Modes are selectable by a toggle switch. It also has 6 slots for saving presets and an assignable expression control. That's the ledges.
Can we hear it?
You want to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
I have it in hall mode right now.
Wow. Well, I have to admit, I've remained intentionally ignorant about many aspects of this pedal, knowing that I would get to do this Q&A and find
cool.
everything out. So why don't we start with why did you even make this pedal?
Why did I even make
Yes.
this pedal? Because that's what I do for a job.
Good answer.
I made the ledges, well, partly because of that. The other part, I just like reverb. I think reverbs are cool. It's been a minute since we had a reverb in the line. The last one was Astral Destiny, which is like a really intense reverb. And we also have like the afterneath, and we had the transmitter. But, you know, had to put it to bed. We got Dispatch Master and Avalanche Run, but those have delays in them. We had Levitation, but that also got discontinued. Ghost Echo, all of those reverbs have, like, you know, they're either have a delay attached to it, they're super complex, like the afterneath, or have, like, I would say like an overriding character. Like Levitation was really ringy, kind of trebly. I've heard it described as a psychedelic reverb. I would never describe anything as psychedelic. In fact, I felt really gross just saying that. And Ghost Echo, I think, is just really lo-fi. And that was my favorite reverb of ours, I think, for a long time.
What's your
so simple.
earliest memory of being like impacted by hearing reverb? Like, can you think back in your musical history to?
Well, first I want to say I made the ledges because I feel like it fills a void where, you know, it's multifunctional, and you can do some really, like, not too wild things. Like, you're not going to get out of control, and you're not going to have to spend a lot of time dialing it in, but, like, it will cover everything from, like, a really tiny reverb to a really big cavernous reverb in one little thing. So I feel like it filled that void in our line. But the earliest I was impacted by reverb, Phil Collins. It was Phil Collins.
Oh, wow. In the air?
In the Air.
Yeah.
Tonight.
In the air
Or
tonight.
tonight, like, whenever
Yeah.
that was. Like,
And so you were just like, whoa.
I'm
What is
impacted. I feel impacted by this.
Well, that's so special. Okay, so you started talking about this, but maybe you could get a bit more in depth about how Ledges compares to the other reverbs in our line. And let's just limit it to our current line.
Just our current line. Yeah, I feel like I was just really long-winded about it when I was describing those other reverbs, but I feel like it kind of covers a little bit of territory from like every style of reverb that most people use on a guitar, with the exception of spring. But I think you can still get like some spring-like character out of it in the longest room setting. But I just wanted something that had a lot of options in a little package with very few controls, so it wasn't overwhelming. And then a preset system that wasn't super confusing. You had to dive through a menu, or
I know you hate to menu
I
dive.
hate menu diving, and I hate reading manuals, and I hate remembering weird instructions, key commands, switch commands. I hate it.
I know.
I hate all of it.
know.
So I just wanted something simple that could cover a lot of ground.
Well, how does it stack with dirt pedals?
I think it stacks quite well with dirt pedals.
Prove it.
You want me to prove it? All right.
Well stacked.
Well
in my
stacked. It
opinion.
sounds fine with dirt. It sounds fine without it.
Fantastic. Well, are you ready for some questions that have come in?
Sure.
Okay. This question is from Aaron Pullman. Were any of the 3 reverbs that made the final cut influenced or started out as jumping off points for many previous Earthquaker pedals?
No. They're all unique. They
Awesome.
didn't start from anything.
So, Wilfton.
What? Who?
Wilfton.
Wilfton?
That's my guess. There's no vowels.
Wilfton.
Wilfton says, Ledges seems like a much more straightforward reverb than others in your range of reverbs. Did you go into the development phase with the intention of creating a more accessible reverb?
When I initially started making a reverb, no. I did not go for making an accessible reverb. But I also started just making reverbs kind of for the hell of it in like 2020, just in the basement, and was like, somehow I'm going to come up with like a really cool like package for these things. And the real goal was to try to do something similar to the transmitter. And then as I was like working through all of them, I realized like I had 3 that sounded really good, but like just on their own, they needed tweaked a little bit, but I thought that they would make like a really great, like versatile, like multi-reverb pedal. So I didn't go into it trying to make this.
But then you did.
But then I did. I would say the idea kind of came about like when I got to the plate program that's on here. It's like this, I feel like this would work really well with the Hall one. Yeah, and then all the room reverbs that I made, I just really didn't know what to do with them because they're kind of like, I don't know, room reverbs are a really particular thing. I don't think a lot of people are typically using it on guitar on a regular basis. So it's like I had a couple room reverbs that I thought were really interesting, but didn't have a place for them. I thought these 3 worked really nice together. The process of elimination.
Well, I was going to ask on behalf of Jeremy Keefbaker, when creating this pedal, were the reverb types Hall, room, and plate chosen for a reason?
I mean, they're common reverbs, I think, that people use in like in the studio. I don't really see, I mean, I guess you see Hall a lot in pedals, but typically everything's like spring reverb based or some kind of ambient cathedral style reverb. And I feel like we've got a pretty good grasp on the ambient reverbs. We have a fair amount in the line. So I thought it might be nice to do something that was more from like a studio perspective, I guess.
Cool, cool.
You're welcome, engineers.
So could you maybe go through each of those modes and describe some of the characteristics of each mode?
Sure. I'm going to start with room, I guess. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to leave all the damping off. The damping controls like the high-end content, and it also tames the reflections as you turn it up. But I'm just going to leave it all the way down, so it's just kind of out. You get all of the reflections and frequency response. And I will just leave the mix here for all of it. So I'm going to assign the expression control to the length so I can just do this while I'm playing. Now is a great time to talk about how to assign expression control. You just put it in the toe down position and you turn the control you want to assign to it. So I turn length. It should be assigned to length. And it is. It worked. The idea worked. So I feel like with the room reverb all the way down, it's like more like kind of wood room character to it. I don't know if this translates on a live stream on YouTube. And then as you bring it up, I feel like it has more reflections. They're a little brighter, kind of like a tile room. And when it's all the way up, if you hit the strings really hard, I feel like it has a spring reverb character without all the like chirp that's usually associated with it. Do you hear that spring? This kind of sounds a little like a spring. All right, that's a room. Now I'll go to hall, middle position. Again, I feel like the only like kind of loose tie between all three of the reverbs is like room's longest setting is sort of hall's shortest, and hall's longest is sort of plate's shortest. But that's really the only like similarities between any of these. They're like each a unique program. So when you turn up the length, it kind of goes from like a largish hall to an almost cathedral-like reverb at the top. And when you're turning the length, a lot of things are happening. Like it's not, you know, it's changing the length of the reverb, but it's also changing like the character of it and the frequency response and like how many reflections there are. So
That's beautiful.
it's hall. Now I'll switch to plate. And this is definitely, this mode has, you know, the most reflections. It's like a brighter frequency response. But as you get the length up past noon, it actually in the code starts to bring in a multi-tap delay that is just taking the highest frequencies from the wet signal and feeding it back into the input. So it eventually just creates like a subtle feedback loop of the high frequencies, and it can make like a pad underneath what you're playing. It kind of has a freeze effect to it. So I will play with that.
Wow. Incredible.
Did you hear that tail?
I did.
It's a cool tail.
It was a great tale.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, okay, so we've got a few questions here. One from Legless Homie. How did you come?
Legless Homie.
Yeah. How did you come to name the pedal Ledges?
Ledges. Ledges is a place in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, really close to our house. About 20 minutes away. Ohio themed. I've been on a big Ohio themed kick.
Yeah, Ledges is so beautiful. It's part of Virginia Kendall, technically. But I think from some of the questions, I see that some people were thinking, maybe we were thinking Nelson Ledges, but we've actually I've never been to Nelson Ledges that I remember
I think
anyway.
I've been there one time, maybe.
Yeah. So this is the Ledges at Virginia Kendall, and they are beautiful glacier carved sandstone, I believe. Gorgeous.
I think
They're
so.
so beautiful. Yeah. And you shot some videos out there, didn't you?
I
Yeah.
did shoot some videos.
I think
out
one. I thought I saw one came out already.
there. One did come out.
Yeah. What was the experience of shooting at the Ledges like?
Well, you know, Ledges is awesome, so it was a really cool location to do the shoot at, and we actually had to reschedule it once, maybe twice. Do we have to do it twice? Oh no, but they were very cool.
Yeah.
They were very cool to deal with. Very accommodating. However, I felt like a total idiot
Why?
shooting it because I'm just walking around playing a guitar in the park, and there's like families trying to do stuff, and people's trying to twirl sticks for a really long time on the edge of a cliff, and I'm like, "Could you get out of the way so I could play my guitar?"
Did you guys have to move any hammocks? Or
We didn't have to move any hammocks, but we did have to like warn people what they were about to walk into. Yet they still just walked into it for some reason. I don't really, like if I was walking down a trail and somebody was like, "Hey, don't come in here, there's a weirdo playing a guitar on a rock and we're filming them," I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that at all." But at one point I got left alone. Chris and Jeff and Matt were like taking stuff back and using the bathroom and shit. And I'm just milling around the park playing guitar to a click track. So I had headphones in, I wasn't thinking about it. And then like 10 minutes into it, I was like, oh my God. Like there's all these people just staring at it. I was pouring sweat, covered in mosquitoes. Yeah, I felt real dumb.
Well, the video
was
turned
fun.
out awesome, so it was worth it.
You know.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to point out that he was playing a shred guitar.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
there's a section of this video that hasn't come out yet, but as a teaser, I was using this in it.
And I remember the night before you were like, "I'm going to take my pointy guitar. It's going to be really black metal." And I was like, "Cool."
It was not very black metal, but it might turn out to be black metal after you guys work your magic on it. But yeah, I was playing a pointy guitar, walking around looking like this, dressed in all black. It was like 1,000 degrees out, super humid. Feeling like a real weirdo while like people are trying to take their 4-year-olds on a picnic.
That's an incredible sacrifice of your dignity that you made
for
just to
tone.
make this content for. Yeah, thank you. Here's a question from Uda Guda Solo.
Say that again.
Uda Guda Solo.
Okay,
Did you pick the landmark name before or after designing the pedal?
after.
Aaron Schmidt wants to know, what was the inspiration for the standard colorway? Was it because those colors are similar to the rock and moss found at Nelson Ledges? So we can already say that part no.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we
It was
told
it totally
Mike
was.
Sangelo, our powder or our enclosure manager, we were like, you got to get tones close to this. I think he probably experimented with some colorways.
Yeah, I wish that you didn't give that away and we could suddenly accept credit for that. There's probably a way better answer other than it looked cool. Yeah,
Maybe Mike did. Maybe Mike did.
Maybe
He's
he
very
did.
diligent.
He picked, Mike printed out like probably 50 colorways. And then from that, I chose like 10, and then narrowed it down to this for being the main one. And then we picked the Earthquaker Day colorway, and then we picked saving a bunch of special colorways.
That's right.
It's not flan. People are confused about
Yeah, it's not flan. Flan. I never order whatever that is, so I don't know how you really pronounce it, but one person on Reddit mentioned it. It got stuck in my head. It's like a cartoon version of what the Ledges Park looks like. It's not a dessert.
Fat Man on Guitar wants to know, did you give any consideration to the expression pedal, to giving the expression pedal the ability to move between reverb types?
No, I did not give it the consideration it probably deserved.
Sorry about that.
Have to go through years of therapy later in life to deal with it.
Tom Hanzo asks, what determines the number of presets possible on the pedal?
I felt like 2 per mode. That's like my thinking on this this 6 preset 3 mode pedal idea. It's just enough. Just enough. You're gonna remember what's in those 6 positions. Could have been 8. You might remember 8. I think 12 is pushing it. 100? Give me a break.
So
You gotta
it's
remember what's
your-
in all 100 slots?
It's literally based on how many presets you think people can remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made the pedal. Deal with it. I just feel like it's easy to remember like what's in the six preset slots. That's it.
All right. So Heisenbaum wonders what's your favorite setting in each of the 3 modes, and I think this also asks, you could pick one favorite setting for Jared Kellum too.
One for Jared and one for
One for each
Heisenbaum?
mode for Heisenbaum.
I actually got that right. That's the
Yeah.
name, Heisenbaum. Oh, okay. Well, I'm in my favorite plate setting.
Can you?
Plate.
Where do you have everything?
Where do I have everything? I got the mix at 3 and the damping all the way off, and the length was all the way up. Easy to remember. Favorite setting. And then in Hall, I still have the expression control assigned to the length. That's for Hall. I got the length probably like about 50% mixed still at 3 o'clock, and the damping is right between 9 and 10. And then room. I really like it. I like the smallest room setting. I like that.
So out of
Despite
the 3, what's your favorite?
My poor finger tapping. Out of the 3, I mean, probably the Hall. Probably the
Awesome.
Hall.
Were you inspired by any specific reverbs?
No, not really.
So KL Lawson music? No. From Bear Gone Fishin'. Reverb is such a crowded space with so many great pedals already out there. So what's the reason to exist for this one that others aren't already doing?
I don't know how to answer that question. I gotta be honest with you. I mean, every effect type, like they're all crowded.
This one has a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, it has a lifetime warranty. Do you
This
want
one
to
has a low,
fill
low
in that
price
stuff?
under $200.
Yeah.
Made in Akron, Ohio, with love and care. Lots of options.
Lots of options.
Don't need to menu dive. No, blah blah blah.
All of those things.
Yeah.
I guess, I was thinking just in terms of like what makes one pedal better than the other. Like it's all a matter of preference. I think you find the things you like when you play them. And I mean that goes for myself included.
So you have a lot of options. A lot to love.
A lot of options, a lot to love.
T. Johnson 7801. Was there a singular sound or setting that inspired the Ledges, or was it always designed to be the Swiss Army Verb? I know you covered a bit of this earlier.
Could you repeat the beginning part of that?
Was there one singular sound or setting that inspired the Ledges?
I mean, I do think it was when I got to that plate. I was like, this one is really cool.
Gotta
what
work
else
this
can
in.
I tie this in together with?
Lee Warwick. Is the Ledges a spiritual successor to the Levitation?
No, it is not.
Jeff Gillot Y asks, no spring reverb?
No spring reverb. Correct.
Correct. Adam McClure, why do presets for a 4-knob 3-mode reverb pedal? What's your logic behind this? Goes for Aurelius as well.
Goes for Aurelius as well. Small pedal that can do a lot of things. So you could have a really big ambient reverb with the maximum plate setting, and then you can very easily switch it to like a really short room reverb. Same thing that goes with Aurelius, where you want a rotary chorus, fine. But you also want a regular chorus, great. Then you want like what? Like a flangey chorus? Perfect.
Recall preset.
Yeah, just put them in the presets, and then you can have it be a rotary. And then the way to switch between presets is super easy. Like if the pedal is on, you just hold down the switch, and then it switches into the preset. And then you hold it down, it switches back into live mode. It's really easy to do. So it's not like a thing you gotta flip the switch and like do a bunch of things. Like you could just do it all in the same song in like 1 second. Plus options. There's a lot of options. And people complain when they get options, apparently, and people complain when they don't have options. So, in short, my angry answer is, I felt like it.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Adam.
No one asked that again.
Ben Galizio asks, is the Ledges the second of a new platform, Aurelius being the first? I'll take that, yes. If so, any plans for delay with reverse and flanger?
Flanger. Yeah. Flanger's cool. Could happen. Anything can happen.
Anything could happen. It's a platform.
As a platform. There are more pedals in this format. Wasn't intentionally doing it as like a platform or a series of pedals, but someone is very astute.
The Aurelius can flange as well.
Yes.
In the chorus mode.
As Jeff said, the Aurelius can
Yes.
flange.
Brian Kosho asks, are any other colorways planned? I'll take this. Yes, they are. Barry Trebuzio says, I know logistically it won't happen, but I wish Earthquaker Day could tour. LOL. Well, anyway, question. I love how the land and structures inspire names of pedals and also relates to the sounds of each one. How does this relationship develop?
I've always liked the idea of tying things around Ohio into the pedals because we're from Akron, Ohio. I think it's cool.
And it is chronically an underrated location.
Yeah, most people think of Iowa
Yes.
when they think of Ohio. And I do actually spend more time, imagining like what does this name belong with, then I think is probably necessary. I could probably just slap ledges on anything and be fine, but it sounded reverby to me. Yeah. Aurelius, I don't know. It's a town in Ohio, and it did not register as chorus, but it looked really nice with the artwork. So.
Yeah, and I know, like we have a lot of pedals that were named after streets in Akron that we either lived on or drove by all the time or things like
Westwood, Palisades,
that.
Aqueduct.
Westwood. Yeah, so I don't know, we're always trying to throw some love to Akron. Nathan Boggs asks, how many units are planned for production this year? Nathan, I'd like to know why you need to know that. Let me just say that our team works very hard to meet the demand for a pedal. We have an incredible inventory manager, Brad Thorla, that we don't even conceive of announcing a pedal until we're sure that we can procure all the parts to make as many as we would need. But that's one of the nice things about being a company like ours is we can be nimble. So we're, typically producing to what has been ordered. So I don't have a definitive answer for you, Nathan, and I don't think you need to know that information anyways.
Who do you work for?
But thank you for your question. Okay. CM Travels and Things. How could you or would you pair with distortion to accentuate higher gain leads?
Higher gain leads.
I know you did a little bit, but did you lead?
Did I lead?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I did
Well,
lead.
do it now.
It's like lead. Would I be like, oh.
So you could and you would.
Let me answer that question instead of just fucking around on guitar. I think the ledges, it sits really nice with guitar, especially with distortion. It kind of, it doesn't take over the sound. It sits nicely in the background. There's a little bit of low frequency roll off built into it, just on the wet signal itself, so I don't feel like it muddies up anything you play on guitar, both in the lower registers and upper ones. So I think it's a really good reverb for accentuating leads.
Excellent.
As you could hear them.
Higher gain leads?
Higher gain. This is I would say I was on a medium to low gain. Right
But
there.
you could go much higher,
I
and it
could
would be
so
even
much
more
higher. I could
accentuated.
all the gain.
Yeah.
All the gain. You want Mesa Boogie, quadruple rectifier, whatever it is, whatever you need. 10 metal zones.
Ben Fiector is asking, what's the process to save a new preset?
What's the process to save a new preset?
Step by step.
Step by step. This is being filmed down here, correct? So it's really simple. You put it in the position that you want to save the preset in, then you select all the parameters you want to save, like that. What is happening?
That was cool.
It's cool and weird. So, what was I saying? That's not a thing you want to happen.
That was a sound effect.
Is that a sound effect?
That was Jeff.
Don't do that. Sounds like delay feeding back. So, what was I saying? You select all the parameters, then you just hold this preset save recall switch down. And it flashes from green to red, and when it's done flashing, it's saved. And then to recall it, you just tap it, or when the pedal is on, you hold down the switch. See? It's red,
Wow.
indicating it has selected preset 1. And then, now it's green, it's back to live mode.
Incredible. That is so easy.
So easy.
NX1 asks, is the output stereo?
The output is not stereo. It's single mono.
All right. I thought we were going to get more questions about this, but it looks like just one.
One.
Like Icarus Ascending asks, does it go, well, he says does it goes, but I'll correct it. Does it go 100% wet when the mix is full?
No, it does not. There is an analog dry signal always present.
What percent wet do you think it gets?
What percent wet? 50% wet.
50% wet.
50% wet.
What instrument do you use to measure the percentage wet that it gets?
Percentage wetness. Oh no, some kind of barometric water gauge. I don't know what.
You're just winging it, aren't you?
I'm just winging it. Grind it up, put it in a beaker of some sort. Just
Yep.
measure its volume.
Yep.
I don't know, like on like a scale of like sandy bones to H2O shit. It's damp.
Okay. Well, I'd like to know what people need to do that is 100% wet that they can't do when they're 50% dry.
People,
So
yeah, people love to
looking
get
forward
wet.
to hear more about that. Well, they say that, but
They
I
say,
don't know
yeah.
what they're doing 100% wet. I think if we gave them 100% wet, they would be like, oh shit, I need some dry signal, like 50%.
That's how I feel
Yeah.
about it. Like
Do you ever
about that.
dabble in 100% wet?
100% wet. Mm. I don't know.
What about you
I don't think I
guys?
do.
The afterneath
afterneath.
dabbles in 100%.
Well, I
wet.
can see that.
The afterneath, the avalanche run,
No,
the avalanche
sorry,
run
not
is what dabbles in 100% wet. When
Right.
you turn the mix control of both delay, which is nuts, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, who wants 100% wet delay?
What
Unless
about
you're
you
like
guys?
if
I
you're
wanna
doing
ask the
something, if
room.
you're doing something in a studio,
Yeah.
that's why you would need
Yeah.
I use
that.
it as an insert effect, but when I'm playing guitar, I would like some dry signal most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, especially with a
Yeah.
delay, like what you want to play something and hear it like 2 seconds later. Well, it's confusing.
Chris,
Sometimes it's
have
fun
you
to
ever
do
needed to be
reverb.
100% wet?
No, I prefer to stay dry.
At least what percent dry?
90% dry.
90%
Okay.
dry.
Yeah.
Donish?
Kind of in the middle.
Okay.
No, 50%.
Well, this is a perfect
This is the
pedal for
pedal. Have I told you about the ledges?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for indulging me.
You know,
Josh Homme Gear.
his gear
says-
is. He
yes.
sent us a message.
Yes.
Josh Homme's gear.
Yes. Where in the chain should I place this?
Wherever you want, man. I prefer it at the end.
Okay.
I like to reverberate everything. You put it before like distortion and reverb.
That would be more of a preverb.
Preverb. That is correct. I prefer a post verb or a
Yeah.
anything but
you.
a proverb.
Well,
Yeah, put it at the end. That's my feeling.
okay. Effectron. What parameters of the reverb have you gotten under control so it just works without swamping out?
All kinds of secret little things in there, but
What's
most
the parameters?
the
what parameters?
What parameters?
Yes.
The damping kind of controls all those
Mm-hmm.
reflections, and then the mix you can dial it way back. Then if the length,
Mm-hmm.
adjust the length, and a bunch of other things. Those are your parameters, but they do more than just
Mm-hmm.
that. I think the question.
And they work without swamping.
They work without swamping, but I think the question that he's asking is like, why doesn't it do that? And it was intentionally designed that way. There's certain frequencies that are removed before the signal is fed into the reverb, as well as adjusting filters and delay times inside.
Incredible. You've done all that so people don't swamp out at a gig. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, you will not swamp out at the getaway pub.
Matt Deal 509 wants to know, is there an additional output for a dry signal?
No.
How come?
Why?
Yes, Matt, we would want to know, why do you want another additional output for a dry signal and what you would do with it? I like this name, Squinet. What is the learning curve for someone who typically uses very simple pedals like the Holy Grail or Dispatch Master?
The learning curve, I feel like it's really easy. Like, as a reverb minus the presets and assigning an expression control, it's just a 3-knob reverb pedal. So it's really, really, you're not going to get any bad sound out of it. You're not going to
Great.
ruin it by turning any of the controls. But even the presets and assignable expression control, you read it once, you're going to remember it. I think it's very few steps.
Nothing But Stars Inside asks, does it have trails?
Yes, it does. It's buffer bypass. So the reverb will naturally decay when you turn the pedal off.
Beautiful. Would you also call that a tail? What's
tail.
the difference between a tail and a trail?
The type of person that says the words.
Okay.
I think that's really it.
Yeah.
I've been asked to ask if you could play the bass through it a little bit.
Play the bass.
Oh yeah. Should I get to the bass questions?
Are there bass questions?
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Oh, I don't even need to do that. That's right.
We did some really cool stuff with the Swiss things, using it as both interior or like an input Y adapter as well as an output Y adapter. So
You set it up so all you got to do is hit these two switches at the same time, right?
yeah.
So Mason flipping on bass, Adam Cox 9216. How does it sound on bass? You're about to find out.
Well, it was set up to do something cool, but it's not anymore.
I really like that. That sounds
good.
great.
Sounds good with bass. It turns out, sounds good with bass.
What setting do you recommend to be best for bass?
I mean, that sounded cool. I just left it wherever I had it set before. It sounded good.
So where are you at?
Where am I at? I am in a hall setting. I had the length all the way up and the damping around 11 o'clock and the mix at 3 o'clock.
That's awesome. Do you have any tips on settings for this with an electric harp?
I wish I did. I wish I knew how to play.
We're going to
electric
have to
harp.
get an electric harp
We
now.
are going to have to get an
Thank
electric
you,
harp now.
Evelyn Gagnon Music.
Thank you.
Evelyn, can you recommend an electric harp that we should purchase to experiment with pedals?
Yeah, we should get Emily to give us all lessons.
Yeah, I bet you'll see something cool from Emily on this. Okay, so we've got some comparison questions.
Yes.
These would be, I think, more guitar oriented, but I guess you could do them on bass if you want. I don't know. Okay. Well, this one you could just discuss for George AP _. How does it compare to my beloved Levitation?
I think the Levitation a little more lo-fi, a little brighter and ringier than any of the settings on the Ledges. I think the Ledge is a little more hi-fi.
You can't overdrive it too.
Yeah, you can't overdrive it. You can, in the plate setting, get it to kind of go into a self-oscillation eventually if you play enough with the damping all the way down, the length all the way up. But not in the same way that the Levitation does it. Yeah.
Keepers of the Low End would like to know, would you say the Ledges sits between the Ghost Echo and the Astral Destiny?
I think of our reverbs, if it had, I mean, it is literally sitting between the Ghost Echo and the Astral Destiny on this pedal board. So yeah, I can sit physically in a space between those two. I think the thing that it's maybe the closest to would be the Afterneath in tone. So I would put it somewhere between Afterneath and Astral Destiny, but not as wild as either of those. You know, more versatile.
Okay, so different feature set parameters.
Different feature set parameters, yeah.
Could you compare and contrast the ledges to the Afterneath for Yakfish Nick?
Oh God, I've been dying to show Yakfish Nick this. Compare and contrast. So I guess I'll just put it in the setting that I think is closest, which is plate all the way up, damping all the way down. So I'm, you know, I'm not really comparing and contrasting, but playing between the two, you can see that the Afterneath gets a lot weirder. And I just had it set in one setting. It was probably the one that has the most reflections before it starts to go into a feedback loop. I think there's like a sonic tie between the two, like in frequency, but they are wildly different effects.
Thank you very much. Jason Calikragas. How does the
Calikragas.
Reverb's max settings compare to the max on the Dispatch Master as far as continuing infinitely?
Well, in plate, it's significantly longer. Do we want to sit and do it?
Sure.
Is that a thing we want to do right now? We're going to do it. I'm going to turn the delay all the way off on the Dispatch Master, and I will turn the reverb all the way up. It just has a mix. It's a preset length. Here it's dark. It decays pretty quickly. And I'll put this in a hall. And leave the length all the way up. Turn the mix all the way up this time. So hall is like 3 times as long. Definitely brighter. Room. Shorter. Like a room. And plate.
Wow.
It's still going.
Yeah, it's still going.
The buffered bypass is going to time out. It's going to kill the signal before it even stops decaying. If I turn
Yeah.
it back on, it's still going. It's like that guitar Nigel Tufnell had. You just put it down and go out to lunch, come back, and it'll still do whatever it does. Sing. It sings, it's singing.
Michael plays the blues. Wants to know, how does it pair with a more far out pedal like my Astral Destiny? But please don't play blues.
Please, is that a...
Michael plays blues. Michael, you don't want Jamie to play blues.
Yeah. Nobody wants me to play
Yeah.
the blues. I mean, I think it pairs well. I'm just going to turn on every pedal. See what happens. Pairs well.
Pairs well.
Pairs well.
Sure does.
Sounds great.
Rubalcado. What is your favorite Earthquaker pedal to pair the ledges with as a combo?
I mean, lately, Plumes and He's a Beatus, because also my favorite overdrive and fuzz pedals to use personally. And then the Aurelia sounds really good with it, especially in, I feel like, the rotary mode or the flanger mode. Rainbow Machine used as a chorus sounds great with it. Grand Orbiter. I like the Grand Orbiter with everything. Yeah, any of those.
Great. Oh, Ted Bison wanted to see how it sounds when before a fuzz, when switching between live mode and a preset, and how the trails interact with the crossover. But I don't think we can show that.
Yeah, we can't show it before, but I can...
Ted, come over and we'll try it in our basement.
Yeah, we can try it in the basement, but I can show you with an overdrive real quick what it sounds like to switch between presets while you're playing. There is a trick to this. If you're saving the presets within the same reverb mode, there is crossover. The tails will cross over. If you're switching from a preset like in plate into hall, there's going to be a brief cutoff. I think this isn't that noticeable while you're playing, because it's also like switching over the modes, and when it does that, the tails don't spill over from mode to mode. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like just to go from a short plate to a long plate and back again. The preset is the short plate. So now I'll put it back in live mode in the hall. my sloppy playing, that's what it sounds like when you switch between two different modes, one in preset and one in live mode.
Anchormoto asks, have you stacked this with a second ledges? Basically, how ambient can it get?
Everybody knows 2 of 1 pedal is always better than 1 of 1 pedal. And then what's even better than 2 is 3. What's better than that? You get the idea. Very ambient.
Very.
Or ambient. Ambient.
What percent ambient?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
100%, but you might need 5.
Keeks. Can this get Lindsey Buckingham's bathroom tone
Yes.
from the song The Ledge? Yes, that's a definitive yes. Bradley McKellop, how close can I get to a late 70s ECM record reverb sound with this little guy?
This little guy.
Yeah.
This little guy can do it all. I don't know how close. This will be
Yeah.
when we do a Legends
should get what it
Q&A
tells.
round 2, 24-hour marathon. We'll get to that. I'll have a chart too and a PowerPoint.
Daniel Skabooble, if you were to use it, I'm not making this up. If you were to use this on a shoegaze board, is it going before or after a dirt pedal?
After. I'm a big fan of reverb and delay after dirt,
Yeah.
always. But I know other people have other opinions about that. Do you care to elaborate on this?
I like to put analog delays before a distortion sometimes because I think the way the trails are affected by it is
So you're
beautiful.
pre-verbing.
Well, pre-delaying, I guess.
Pre-delay. Yeah.
Would you put the ledges before?
No, I think the ledges is definitely it's too clean and it holds out longer, so it doesn't have a ping to it. And I think really a lot of it is just like thinking about how an Echoplex would hit like a distorted amp before you would have before we had pedal boards. You know, like when I was growing up, you had just had a delay pedal and you plugged it right into your amp. And I had a Marshall, and then I had a PV5150, and I never used the effects loop, so I'm like used to that sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's an argument for that. Like, I use clean amps and I use pedals to get the distortion sound. But historically, I mean, most people would plug reverb or delay straight into a really dirty amp. So obviously it sounds good. I'm a bigger fan of dirt into reverb and delay.
Alrighty. All right, now let's try and do these like real rapid fire. Okay?
How rapid fire?
Like as fast as you can. Sean, and on and on and on. Does it doom?
Of course.
Subsar, but can it gent though?
I have no idea what that means.
Pizza Paul 96, can it shoegaze?
Pizza Paul.
96.
Sure.
Glow of Black, does it psychedelic?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Castle Spooktacular. We had an awesome time at Earthquaker Day. If you could plug an 1/8 inch jack into a tree or cave, is this what it would sound like then? I need to know. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Gal Patel, does it love me?
Of course it does.
Murder Wizard, I wish to shred clouds of sonic wonder. Will this device make me the Yngwie of ambient guitar?
Yeah, of course. Anything for Murder Wizard.
Tom Robin 81, how could I live without a new EQD reverb?
You can't.
Brandon Braille, once I had a dream that I was riding a unicorn while attempting to dismantle dangerous nuclear devices worldwide. While I was racing through the clouds on a majestic pony, a mystical soundtrack reverberated through the heavens and propelled to each of our destinations. I've always wanted to bring this soundtrack to life. So can Ledges, Dick Dale, by way of Brian Eno, shot through Daniel Lanois while being touched by Kevin Shields eating dinner with Brian Wilson. Let's do this together, me and you.
Stop
No answer required.
honking Adderall before you go to bed. But I do really appreciate using Dick dale as like a verb in there. Is that how it was used? Does it dick dale?
Yeah.
And kinda. I mean, actually, I can't dick dale.
Well, are you willing to do this with him?
Dick dale.
No, with Brandon Braille. Brandon, send us a DM,
Please.
and we'll
Move
consider
to
this
the
further.
next question.
Is there like compensation involved? What's the time commitment? Deadlines, things like that. Okay, made this to keep track of my pedals. Are there any secrets hidden inside?
No, there's no real secrets, but
There could be a doodle.
I mean, there could be a doodle, like physically, there could be a secret, but like in the pedal itself, aside from most people never reading the manual and not knowing that you can assign the expression pedal or how to save the presets, there's no real secrets. But, you know, in Hall and Plate especially, there's like every little movement of the length control, I feel like makes a difference. Like it's not just getting longer. It's doing a lot more. So you may find something just by turning the control just a little bit that like you may have blown by if you're just like, I want it longer, and turning it all the way up.
But will it make Jason Simon Richards sound better?
Yes, always.
Renee
You always
Kellum,
need
will it
reverb.
make her better at playing guitar?
Of course.
Mr. Porty42 wants to know, does it pair well with wedges?
Salads, the salads, yes.
Oh, I think the shoes.
The shoes, wedges, the shoes,
Yeah.
yes. And pedges, and
Yes.
fedges.
French Presley.
My first thought was the wedge monitor, but then when
Oh,
we were talking about it beforehand, how to answer it, I immediately thought of the Lockview wedge salad, which I miss so much.
I
Such
do love a
delicious
wedge
salad.
salad, but yeah, I mean, if
I
you're
still think it's the shoe.
playing like lead guitar and it's like you could be wearing a wedge shoe, you do want a
You
monitor
wouldn't.
to put. So you can like that knocks out a lot of stuff. You can do a lead.
Yeah.
It pairs well with a wedge.
Yeah. What kind? French
Magenta,
Presley wants to
whatever
know
it
what
is.
kind of creature lives beyond the ledges.
I actually have the answer for that, and it's bats.
Bats.
Because there's a bat cave there, and they used to be able to go in there, but
Yeah.
they closed it
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
There's a gate
Yes,
there now.
to keep the bats safe.
Bats.
It's a factual answer. It's
It's a-
not a comedy answer.
Yeah, bats and mosquitoes.
Wolf like meow. Do I dare know the ledges?
Yeah, I dare you.
We dare you. We hereby dare you to know it. The Amber Huston Guffey. Did you have to get a permit to film the ledges video, or did you just go out and jam in the woods? We had to get a permit, and they were delightful to work with. Highly recommend it. Professionally acceptable handle. Can you use ledges to drown out your sorrows?
That was a really good screen name, actually. Yeah, of course. I did.
Rudoxum or Rudo XM, I don't know. Will this pedal fill the pedal void?
Yes.
Kodiak Art. Question to all of Earthquaker. Do you like the ledges more than the afterneath, and why? We'll start with you.
Honestly, I do, because it covers a lot of ground.
Chris.
I prefer the afternoon.
Fudge.
That's always a challenging question, because I think there's validity in every pedal. I hate that you're shooting at me, but I think there's validity in every pedal. There's a reason for everything. So for me, this one, if I was going to go buy one reverb, if I didn't own a reverb yet, this is the pedal I would buy, because it covers way more ground, and it feel like it's more traditional, and you can use it for more styles.
Thank you.
But I do like the afterneath, and I think it's fun to make it self-oscillate and dive bomb and such.
Donish.
I'm an advocate for the ledges. I love plate mode all the way up, damp all the way down.
Awesome. Carl.
Add in a third option, the afterneath module, because you can tap out the length and reflect from, and then pull it back in. It does lots of cool stuff. It also
It's
goes
also in
wet.
the modules.
No, not true.
It doesn't go that far. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Carl.
Sorry, it doesn't go that far.
So that was all of Earthquaker
I think it
that
was
was
50,
here.
that was 50% wet,
Yep.
plus an outlier.
Will it make me, Zach Green, will it make me do a backflip during a show like Nelson Ledges does? First of all, wrong Ledges. Second of all, no.
Is that a wrestler or something? Is there a wrestler named Nelson Ledges?
I
It's a
don't know.
wrestling move.
Is it a wrestling move?
Nelson.
Full
A
Nelson?
full Nelson?
Half
I thought it was
Nelson, full
half.
Half Ledges?
Yeah. We don't know
Full
enough
Nelson,
about
half Ledges.
wrestling or anything
That sounds
else.
like a
but-
great buddy cop movie. Half Nelson and Full Ledges.
And the last question is from Brian Ramming. Awesome, but is there flurb?
Shit. No. There's no flurb.
What's flurb?
It's a terrible setting on an electroharmonics pedal. Flanger verb. I think.
Okay. So, no. Sorry, Brian. Sorry to end this on such a low note.
Yeah. No
But
flurb. Is there another one? Is there
let's
like
see
a upbeat?
if we can turn it around. Oh, okay. How do you manage expectations for what your initial concept is and production processes costs? Does that ever interfere with what your vision of the pedal ultimate identity is? This is from Boring Gear Reviews.
Boring gear reviews with like a question that I feel like anybody could do like a full class on. Yeah, I think I've made some stuff that was really cool, but could take a really long time to build, or would cost a small fortune, and then
Or
you
the
just have
parts
to.
weren't available.
Yeah, the parts weren't available. Or you just have to shelve the idea and know that it exists. I've got a lot of those sitting in my office. Or like sometimes like you think something's going to be a really great idea and you spend a really long time on it, and there's aspects of it that are awesome, but ultimately you can't get it over the hump, and then it becomes really disappointing. So there's that. And then we have a really good, I think, cost analysis. Like we have a pretty good idea at this point, 20 years into building pedals, like what it's going to take and if it's like financially viable. I can't always say that that was the case, but I think we're pretty good at dialing that in. Always striving to make things as affordable as they possibly can be, but I don't think a lot of people take into consideration all of the expenses in building a pedal. It's not simply just the parts of the pedal, like the insurance for our building, like the lights, how many, all of this.
401k plans.
401k plans, health insurance, employees' salaries, the carpet that's underneath us in this room, like everything gets factored in as an overhead cost by like per minute.
We bought an air curtain this year. It was very expensive.
Yeah,
All it does is push air when you open the garage.
but it keeps our pick and place robot happy. So like you got to do those things to keep the humidity levels correct so we can build pedals. So that was a really long-winded answer of there's a lot that goes into it.
I think that if it did interfere, the pedals just wouldn't be coming out. If they
Yeah.
are a pedal that you are able to buy, it means that we were able to pull everything all together. But yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, reality is.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. Marco Gallerin asks, who all was involved in the creation of this reverb, algorithms, pedal art, etc.?
I did the audio algorithms for this myself, and then Matthew Martin, my assistant, our other engineer,
Little Prez.
Little Prez, is like three of us like to call him. He's also an excellent space photographer.
Akron's best.
Akron's best space photographer. He did all of the microcontroller work, so like all of the things that it takes to do the presets, switching the pedal on and off, the flexi switching, expression pedal assignment. He did all of that. Matt Horak did the drawing for the art. I did the layout of it. and Mike Stangelo picked the colors.
But literally everybody in every area of our company had something to do with
Yeah, I
bringing
mean
this
that's
pedal to
the
fruition.
development of
Yeah.
it, and then John DiArio wrote the copy for it, along with Anna Blumenthal, a little bit of me. Jeff Crow did all the advertisements for it, the manual layout. So many people.
The video team
The
made
video team.
incredible videos, sound samples, all kinds of
We
things.
outsourced some sound samples to some old EQD employees.
Yeah, Steve Clements and Corey Heron.
Yeah. And then we have a huge staff. I wish we could. We need to have actually a credits that roll in the future.
Yeah.
Where the whole staff is, because the entire staff worked on it.
Yeah, yep. Thank you for your question. Matt Dawson, LF. If the Legends was, Matt Dawson, if the Legends was a Golden Girl, original cast, no Golden Palace, which one would it be? Fetch, this is you.
Blanche.
Blanche.
It's the same question from like a previous Q&A.
Donnie Brooke, if you could build a pedal for any artist, who would it be and what pedal? It was this pedal for Phil Collins. And we did it.
You're welcome, Phil.
All right. Well, this has been quite a marathon. I really want to thank everybody for all of their thoughtful questions. I want to thank Jamie for answering them. I'd like to thank the video crew, Carl, everybody who made this possible. And without further ado, I'm going to announce the winners of the 3 Legends pedals that I promised. The first one is Daniel Skabooble. Daniel Skabooble, please check your DMs. We'll be reaching out to you for a mailing address. Thank you. Evelyn Gagnon Music, you win. Again, check your DMs.
We're going to fax it to you.
And Bradley McKellop, congratulations. You 3 win. Everyone else loses. I'm sorry, you'll have to go buy it, but thank you so much.
You're a loser.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a great day.
I was Dick Dalen.